sporty, so I'm gonna wear this headband. Okay, so let's talk about the first period in the Paleozoic era, Cambrian. Okay, I swear, my goodness. Again, just a little reminder: this is kind of what Earth looked like in the Cambrian. Laurentia, were North America, modern North America. Let me give you a little background. So as I go through each of these periods, again, I will kind of focus discussion on North America in some places, not necessarily too much because all of this is going on all around the world. Geology is more specific to a location, whereas life is a little bit more widespread. Not always; it can still be focused, but a little bit more widespread. Again, this is Laurentia during the Permian, during the Cambrian, the start of the Paleozoic era, as Pannotia had already broken up. Remember, North America is kind of on the side. You can see Arizona over here on the side like this. This is a graph I'll come back to periodically in each of these different periods. So what we're seeing here is actually in the black is concentrations of carbon dioxide, which from previous units we know that carbon dioxide eventually decreases. Oxygen is the orange line, and by this point it has increased, but it still fluctuates. And then you'll see these kind of light blue layers, or light blue kind of bars, which indicate glaciation. So here this is the symbol for the Cambrian. The symbol for the Cambrian. So we see kind of CO2 kind of on the decline, oxygen kind of bouncing back and forth, but for the most part pretty level. Alright, this is just a cartoon image of the Cambrian explosion, and all of a sudden this weird diversification of life that occurs at the beginning of the Cambrian. Again, we have the Ediacaran fauna, and soft-body stuff, but all of a sudden in the fossil record, it was just this explosion of life everywhere. Oh my gosh, new life everywhere. We're finding all these different fossils. So during this time period, there's just this rapid diversification of life called the Cambrian Explosion. Remember, at this point, life was only common in the water. The land was barren. It was just rock. It was subject to weather and erosion, but yeah, it was just rock at this point. There were no animals on land, there's no plants on land, it's just rock. But again, there was this thing called the Cambrian Explosion, an evolutionary blast of animal origins kind of at the start of the Cambrian to about 525 million years ago. So in a 20 million year period, it's a long time. You get this rapid explosion of life, this diversification, this proliferation, if you will, of diversity of living things in the ocean, both plant and animals. Most of these creatures are now extinct, and we only know them for their fossils. Most, right? Things eventually evolve, but most of these creatures are extinct. So, coming out of the Precambrian time, so the Archean and into the Proterozoic, and then all of a sudden we get to the Cambrian, this diversification, all these different kind of phyla, which are categories of life. So there's evidence in the fossil record that shows that all major phyla, all these different kind of branches of life, were established, evolutionarily established in the transition from the Precambrian to the early Cambrian. So somewhere in that Cambrian explosion, every classification, every kind of box we can put different type of life into existed in the Cambrian. And we fall under the chordates. That's things with a spinal cord, essentially. Bony things with a spinal cord as a chordate. So that's where we kind of fall in there as humans, as do all animals, and reptiles and amphibians. So the Cambrian period is in total about 541 million years ago to 85.5 4 million years ago. Two things make the Cambrian period notable. First, the rapid explosion of life in a relatively short time, anywhere from about 20 to 40 million years or so. Second is the rise of animals with hard shells, meaning they had a much better chance of being fossilized than those soft body stuff from the Ediacaran. There are fossils of that stuff, but with the explosion of life, we get this diversification of sea life that now has hard parts to it, which fossilize much easier. Bones fossilize easier than skin does. That's why we find the fossil of a dinosaur, we find the fossilized bones. We don't find their skin. Originally, geologists defined the Cambrian as the point where fossils appeared. We didn't start to find those soft-bodied Ediacaran fossils until after we had found these Cambrian fossils. So that was kind of no longer valid. That was kind of the original start of the Cambrian. Now, the Cambrian is determined as the point at which numerous hard-shelled fossils first appear. So that's kind of saying, okay, these first appeared in these rocks, then we can date these rocks 541 million years ago. Boom. So in the Cambrian, there's many types of primitive animal life. For instance, sponges, which there's still sponges in our oceans today, but this is when they first evolved. Many kind of invertebrates, things without vertebrae, and but also the first vertebrates, things like fishes appeared in the fossil record. Some small ocean invertebrates, famously called trilobites, became abundant. I'll show you some pictures of trilobites. Most people, when they see the photo, they've seen a picture of these sorts of things, but these kind of evolved in the Cambrian. So this is kind of what we're looking at in the oceans now. We start to get jellyfish. There are these sponges, different arthropods, which are kind of the cousins to things like crabs and lobsters and bugs and stuff. And then we get these little things called trilobites. So these are fossils of trilobites. They look kind of weird, but yeah, these are all varieties of trilobites. It comes from the reason they're called trilobites is because they're tri-lobed. They have 3 sections to them. Like if you look at this one, 1, 2, 3. It's 3 different lobes of its body. It's trilobite. You know what? Actually, in fact, hold on. 1 second. I was cleaning out some stuff the other day at home, and look at what I found. I got a trilobite fossil. Kind of actually looks like that one I was just pointing out. Huh. Yeah, they are a very common fossil. You can find them at rock shops, and in fact, you know what? I think I got this one at the Sun City Mineral Museum, which is an extra credit. Stop if you need it. I think I bought this there for maybe a few bucks. Anyway, these things came about in the Cambrian. The reason we know about the Cambrian explosion is because of this one particular outcrop, at least initially, called the Burgess Shale. It contains the best record of Cambrian animal fossils, including soft-bodied ones. Most of these creatures, again, are coming from that Cambrian explosion. It's a small little outcrop of rocks way up in the Canadian Rocky Mountains. Initially, in this area, during the Cambrian, not now, but the Cambrian, sediment was kind of being weathered and eroded off of this area. Remember, just exposed Canadian shield, old rock. There was nothing, no plants, no animals. So sediment was deposited just offshore in a basin adjacent to kind of a large reef. So it had a large vertical cliff, underwater vertical cliff, several hundred feet high. And so all of this sediment kind of piled up on top of these organisms, preserving anything that was kind of trapped into that sediment. So where this rock is now the Burgess Shale. It's in British Columbia, and it's in the Yoho National Park in Canada. So here is the Yoho National Park. You can kind of see where this is over here in Canada. So it's right here in this location, which would be right here in the shallows of the ocean, which makes sense because everything is in the ocean. So that kind of checks out. Here is, where the Burgess Shale is now located. Sediment deposited right there in the shallows of the ocean. Right? So it all makes sense. That's how we kind of make these paleo geographic maps. It's based on that evidence. So this is literally the outcrop is kind of way up high in the mountains. It is a national park, so you can't take any of these fossils. You can go just and look at them. That's what these people are doing here. But yeah, so there's more of these trilobite fossils in all of this shale sedimentary rock. So you can see 3 of them right here. It's got sediment dumped on, died, sediment liquefied, trilobites fossilized. There you go. I was randomly traveling through Nevada, and I came across this in Nevada. If you really like trilobites and want to find your own, the Oak Springs Trilobite site is actually a free site in Nevada. It's kind of off the beaten path a little bit. Las Vegas is behind my picture down here. St. George, Utah. It's kind of out way out in the middle of nowhere. I didn't stop, but I just saw it. Oh, that's interesting. And I always remember that. So you can actually find your own trilobite fossils. There you go. You gotta go there and dig and break a bunch of rocks. Sounds like fun. Alright, so here we are in the Cambrian period. Again, trilobites, first fish are starting to evolve. It's a very basic life as we're coming out of the Proterozoa, sponges, jellyfish. And again, those first animals with kind of hard shells, including trilobites. And that's what's really helping the fossil record to preserve these animals, which makes it seem like there's just this explosion in life. Maybe there was just as much life in the Proterozoa, but that evolution of hard body parts is what really helped to preserve these fossils. So anyway, let's go ahead and pause there, and when we come back, let's talk about the Ordovician. Let's get back here in just a second.